morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie. You could see we got banned on Investigator News 2. So we are on Investigator News Network. And first off, I usually don't do earthquakes. I moved them to the morning show, but I wanted to show you guys what we got going on here. I was showing Susan this morning and those on Facebook. Now it is, I guess I'm going the wrong way. I'm going, let's see. I believe that is Indonesia. I'm going to flip it this other way. All right, so this is Indonesia right here. And you could see the massive quakes that's going on. And Karen, good morning, Karen. You found us. Karen, look at this. Look at this. There was a 7.0 over there in Indonesia this morning, and a lot of 5s and 6s. This is the West Coast, the West right here. Oh, let's stop. Okay, it's moving slowly. Stop. All right. So as you can look, we have up at the top, the very top would be going into Alaska, all the way down to even the tip of South America. Yeah, isn't that a wow? Um, I was like, I didn't even know what to say when I brought it up and looked at it. And then, of course, I had to do the show really quick because I got the ban, and they didn't hit me with the ban till about 3 minutes before the show. So I had to redo everything really quick. And then I seen this and went, oh, wow. Because then I wasn't going to pull up earthquakes because I hadn't put it out there. But then I pulled it up in front of me and Susan and the others on the morning show. And I was just, I don't even know what to say. I'm going to have to watch Dutch Sense, even if I got to go to Twitch to see what he has to say about all this. So that is definitely a big wow this morning for me, what I woke up with. Besides what happened yesterday. See, Susan, I'm already chuckling about yesterday. I'm not. You guys are gonna have to go back to the end of the show where I talk about what me and my dog yesterday. Oh boy. So you guys are gonna have to go back and watch it because I'd rather get on with what in the news yesterday. What did you guys see that on the White House lawn? James Taylor sings the song Fire and Rain. Now, I'm from the 70s, and I always knew this song was about suicide and drugs. It's a song about suicide and drugs when it was originally performed. And they were celebrating yesterday. And, they do seem to celebrate after they raise our taxes and the price goes up. Now, what got me was the polls everybody started doing polls yesterday, and I happened to grab a good one that says they are purposely causing grief in America is 63%. And that's Democrats and Republicans and independents being polled. They smile and they laugh and they tell us we must suffer a little more. And then they add a song of suicide and drugs. They promote crack pipes and needles for free, and they've done nothing on suicides increase in America. And also those in power that smile and giggle and all that, they've been in power since the 80s and 90s. And they knew cocaine was being brought in by the Democrats since 1980. They all knew. Even Bush knew about it because of Iran-Contra. So, wow. Now get this, don't discuss matters. Yeah. This came out yesterday. This surprised me. It's a new memo. The Justice Department reminds its employees, including FBI employees, not to talk with Congress. This comes from the FBI that enters a sensitive time with whistleblowers alleging bias in critical investigations. Do not talk to Congress. That is the message that was carried in Tuesday's memo. The Attorney General Garland is the one that sent it to DOJ employees. The memo reiterates the department policy of prohibiting, get this, communications with members of Congress, citing a provision that says, quote, no department employee may communicate with senators, representatives, congressional staff without approval of the office and legislative affairs. The provision further adds that the DOJ employees should immediately pass all congressional inquiries to the department wide. Reminder comes in the wake of a stunning whistleblower disclosure. Republican Senator Grassley revealed the letter to the FBI leadership this month that numerous whistleblowers have been approached, and they are alleging that it's deeply rooted in political infection that is spread through investigative activity into former Trump and even Biden's son, adding that the DOJ has a history of failure of being transparent, but it does have an issue with telling Congress in private, only certain Congress people. And Garland insists the memo and the policy is not intended to limit whistleblower protections, but it's to stop the spread of rumors. Wow. Found you, yes. Oh, hopefully everybody finds us today. So, and I don't know how long the ban is for. They hit me up for a ban from show from 7 months ago. Now, the last one I had that got me was from August of last year. Now they hit me up for February this year. So I don't know. What they're doing, but it's YouTube. And of course, it was under what was going on in November. So I could say November, but I can't say what happens in November. Besides my birthday, I can talk about my birthday all I want. I just can't talk about what we do at the beginning of the month. So, all right, onward. Boy, I'm still trying to get over all those earthquakes. New inflation shakes the Dow, and it went down 1,200. It went 1,297 points, I believe, yesterday. And and they were celebrating about this. I don't. These people have been in office for a long time. They know what inflation is. They know what if the stock market drops because they freak out. They've bought into stocks. They had to have been freaky about this, but they didn't. Instead, they just kind of laughed it off and celebrated. And predictions that inflation might take a tumble in August. They thought, and it did. And so now we're moving into September, and we saw a price index increase of 8.3%. It's down slightly, but they say the prices increased as we've seen gas prices go down a little bit. We've seen the food costs go up. And, this keeps happening. And they celebrate when they get a little bit of a number. And they went through political science and they went through politics. And I don't understand how they went all these 40, 30, 20 years and didn't understand you can't have inflation because they think inflation's good for the economy and then it'll go from there. So inflation momentum accelerated all in the wrong places. It really did. And the Times noticed that although gasoline and car prices are falling, they're going to be right back up by the end of next month. The bad news is the Wall Street's reaction. The Dow Jones dropped. It was 1,200 and well, I was wrong, folks. It wasn't 90. It was 1,276.37 points. And so, like I said, they held a celebration and so-called Inflation Reduction Act. And when they asked Manchin about it, he said, "Well, you know what? It's good for us. This'll make everything better." What the heck did they give him? He must have got some bad water at the Capitol or something. I don't know. You know, the other thing, anybody ever wonder about the shipping, um, the 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 ships that had the containers, the cargo containers? Anybody ever wonder what happened to that story? You know, there was hundreds out, or over 100 out in the Pacific Ocean. Guess what? They're gone. They're gone. There's like in the ports, they're only getting like 9 or 10, and there's like 3 or 4 different ports out of San Diego, and there's only like 3 or 4 ships, cargo ships in there. Where'd they go? Well, you know what? They took Governor Abbott's invite, and they all went to the Gulf and to Texas, and now there's 100 ships out there. No, it's not that bad. They've gotten quite a few, but it's faster, and they had all the trucks ready. You know, the gas prices aren't bad. They don't have restriction on truck drivers like they do in California. It's pretty bad in California for truck drivers. So, um, uh, well, they do it for a living. um, let's see who Karen said it. Um, with their lying, but you know what? How long have they been doing it for? And my thing is, how do they live with themselves? You know, because you know, you lie and lie and lie. Catholics go to confession for that. Are they going to confession or what? I don't know. I don't want to. I don't even want to think about it. Um, the other thing is, and this is sad for me because I really do love this man, kind of a mentor. Kenneth Starr died, and he is the one that went after Nadler. He's also the one that did the last impeachment on Trump. Um, he died of complications in surgery. So I don't know. I want to think of Arkansas, you know, because they can't have Kenneth Starr is who they're scared of, and you know, going into maybe charging Trump with um, some what you know, whatever they can pull out of their sleeve. Um, it would have been Ken Starr they probably would have used to fight, as well as some of the really good lawyers that Trump has. But wow, you know, he was, I think, let's see. Oh, no. All right, let's see. He was 76. It didn't say what the surgery was. It didn't say he had cancer or any of that. But he did pass away. And wow. All right. So Kenneth Starr died. And so I'm kind of all um saddened. Uh, well, I'm saddened and I'm upset from yesterday. Susan knows. Susan's going to have to tell everybody in chat what happened to me and my dog yesterday in the chat room. So uh, anyway, so John Kirby leaves our national security in shambles with a response. Scott, get this. This is why I grabbed this. Is he is one that, you know, he is into national security because he's mentioned national security before. And he's a coordinator for strategic communications, National Security Council at the White House. This is John Kirby, folks. Okay. And he was asked, about um, let's see. I want to get the right. Okay. The reporter asked, China is buying up land near U.S. military bases. Is this on the administration's radar? Now, this is how he responded. That's a little out of my swim lane. The reporter, this is a national security issue. Kirby said, I'm not the right person to ask about this. Wow. Either he was trying to deflect or he's so stupid as not to understand the importance of what was being asked. This is very important. This wasn't no reporter asking a silly question. This is very important. And either way, it's shameful. And it's a huge problem. How could he be so ridiculous on this? You know, he's not that stupid. So he's ducking the question that all of us should be asking, you know, and we should be asking the Biden administration and all these Congress and senators the same thing. Why are you allowing this? So, um, so anyway, um, oh yeah. So Susan's letting you know what the dog did in the back of my car. So you guys are going to have to look at the chat room. um, so John Kirby, um, the thing is, um, the U.S. Department of Agriculture data. So they've got data on this now. The Chinese ownership of U.S. farmland leaped more than 20-fold in the last few years, from 81 million in right around 2015 to 1.8 billion in 2020. Beijing hasn't outlined a strategy, but a large scale state backing for these investment indicates that 2013 the government owned a Bank of China, and they loaned 4 billion to Hong Kong headquarter White House Group, the world's largest pork producer. And so not only that, but they are there's an estimated 110 million in Texas farmland alone. Uh, they say uh, there could be a wind turbine farm in Valverde County. They also said it would access to the Texas electrical grid from their property, and also the control over it, which, when I seen that, I said, oh, wait a minute now. And not only that, but they're getting land right next to military installations. So what are they doing there? They're also buying farmers that have went under, especially around Southern California and up the valley of California. So, um, wow. So, and he was asked about this. And you would think, like I said, um, this is because the agriculture, not only agriculture, but even some FBI in some states and even governors are now asking the question of Kirby, why are you letting this happen? And, his response is that basically he's what is it, a fish out of water, I guess, a little out of my swim lane. There you go. And I did read you exactly the question was asked, and I gave you exactly what was said. I'm not the right person to ask about this. So, who do we ask? He should have at least told the reporter who to go to on that and who would have that response or that answer. All right. Boy, a new Durham bombshell. FBI paid Russian that's accused of lying as a confidential informant against Trump. Uh, they say this is Danchenko. This is the one that they're going to be going to court on very soon. Now, get this: the Durham, I believe, the guy that is doing the case, not Durham, the one that's getting into court, he had to step down because he was part of the investigation at the time. So now he's stepping down, and Durham's going to have to put someone else in. And this is so Igor Danchenko. He was tied to Russian intelligence services during the Russia thing. Um, and it was revealed yesterday that the FBI paid him as a confidential human source in the investigation of the Russia collusion. Um, and even though it had prior concerns, it was tied to Moscow and intelligence services, and they knew about it. Durham has told the federal judge in paperwork for the upcoming trial to unseal the motion that revealing that Danchenko was the primary source of now discredited Steele dossier by the FBI as a confidential human resource. So for more than 3 years, he lied to not only the FBI, but the Department of Justice. And Danko is charged with 5 counts of lying to the Bureau. And he faces trial next month in federal court in Virginia and Washington, D.C. So, all right. Um, guess what? Twitter shareholders approve that Musk gets to buy Twitter for $44 billion. The buyout. Uh, and you know what? It left all kinds of people very upset. There were employees walking out of the building yesterday over it. Not because they were said to pack their stuff and go. No, they were mad. They were mad, and they didn't want to. They don't want to work for them. I wonder how many were bots. I wonder how many bots got their little suitcases and walked out. Oh, Lord. All right. Europeans' natural gas shortage is causing a food shortage. So either, they say either they can have a natural gas shortage or they can have a food shortage. And they're choosing the natural gas shortage. And now, but get this, and then they found out that the whole thing is been a lie, and that there is going to be a natural gas shortage as well. It's going to trigger a food crisis. Um, I do want to tell you guys something that I heard about Klaus Schwab. And I had to go back and reread it because you know what he said? Well, it didn't work. Reset's not going to work. Oh, well, it didn't work. We don't have a plan to build back better. And there never was. And so he says he's going to wash his hands clean of it, him and Soros, and maybe they ought to just walk away. Look at what they've done to the globe, globally, to world leaders and countries that these two have done. And now, what? They're done? Wow. I'm almost surprised at that as I was with the earthquakes for today. So he's basically saying, he don't know what to do. There's no fixing this. And it's because the American people, not only Americans, but even, up in Canada with the truck drivers and then over in Europe with their truck drivers and people protesting all over the globe to uh, what's going on with what um, the new world order is to offer. Well, there's too many of us that are saying no. And so what else is he to do but, oh, well, we tried and we didn't get away with it. I don't know. He might end up pushing his way back in. We don't know. Um, I'm going to go with it like William. You can't trust them. Can't trust those guys. You just can't trust them. So NATO kicks off a naval war games near a group of Russians. Um, now, I didn't know that NATO had its own navy. I don't think it does, but now NATO is picking war games with Russia. This isn't, according to what I've been able to find out from my sources over there, this isn't something that was a mutual agreement. This is something NATO decided that they put I guess, their Navy ships. They went right after a Russian naval and now is doing exercises with them. I don't know if they got final approval through Putin, but they did this on their own. And guess what? Another Russian energy executive found dead. He fell overboard. Uh, this was, I think, 11th or the 12th one that's weirdly up dead. And no one, they're looked into it and they said it doesn't look like there was any foul play. He just fell overboard at a boat that was going full speed, and he lost his footage and fell overboard. Doesn't even, I don't know. Let me see if they found him. I had an update on this. His name is Ivan Pekorin, and his death was a loss for friends and colleagues. He was a corporation's former CEO for Igor Nasov, who also died suddenly. And it doesn't really say how many have passed. No, we don't. I think there's been almost 10. But it does say the boat was going extremely fast and he lost his footing and fell overboard. So, who's cutting out? Huh. All right. Now, Biden is, now get this, I knew he would have to replace that fuel in the reserves, and he's going to, but he's strategic about it. And he wants to do it for 80 a barrel or more. And what it does is it's not going to cause the prices to fall, but gain. And this is purposeful because he could probably get it, I think, way cheaper than that. And with the crude prices plummeting, all of a sudden he's going to refill it. Um, and they say it could be $100 a barrel, but it does offer a buffer to the downside risk the market is worried about. And as you know, they've noted gas prices have dropped 90 days straight now and are ready to decouple to the downside. And so yesterday they said they see problems for midterms, and that basically either it will jump way up right before November, or they're going to wait until after November. And so many have said this is the dumbest thing to ever come out of this administration. Usually you do your reserves for what you have in your own country, is according to what they say with the oil guys. And so they're buying it, and they're buying it. It costs more than what we would have to pay out for it. But they're talking about increasing it if they got to all the way to $100 a barrel. So, wow, great news this morning. Um, because Biden isn't through spending yet, folks. Did you guys know that? Um, he's not done upping inflation with debt fueled spending. And, the GOP keeps nudging him on it. And even Democrat moderates are now starting to say that this is getting to be a little bit much. Um, so we have a 47 billion was requested for the pandemic, and then they had a little bit left over. Um, so they're diverting the money. So instead of the 47 million, they're grabbing half of that, and they're using 26.9 billion that will go towards other things, and not really towards funding, but more towards what the CDC can do with the money. So not only that, but we have wasteful spending priorities, what they've done. Um, for instance, the bill that extends to enhance Obamacare subsidies, get this, the Democrats passed it last year. And that was, in fact, they increased it too, 5 times the federal poverty level, with a 3-year subsidy package totaling $64 billion. That means roughly 9.6 billion will fund subsidies for households earning almost 150,000 for a family of 4. So not only that, they did a vaguely defined environmental social justice programs, that they spent $3 billion for a new environmental climate in a block grant. Another one they did was 23.5 million for Native Hawaiian Climate Resilience Program. Then we went to another 150 million for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It keeps going. 3.6 billion to the Department of Energy. 40 billion in new loan funding for climate-related projects. 5 billion to guarantee up to 250 billion for the infrastructure reinvestment, refinancing. Now, I'd like to know what they're going to refinance, and it doesn't give no explanation. How about tribal projects get 75 million and an additional maybe 20 billion? And all of these programs, they're going to go ahead and pass. Now, what about the IRS with the 80 billion in new funding? Or what about 45.6 billion going towards enforcements, with the Democrats being in charge of how this money is spent? So enforcing what? But it's not listed. The Green New Deal, they got a whole bunch of money going past into that. So you could see the millions and billions of dollars that they've added on that we didn't even know about. So not only that, but then, defunding the police, scaring off our military, and it keeps getting worse. And I think they know it. I think they're all for this. So an F-16 pilot died when his ejection seat failed. And so was it counterfeit? So now they said they might have to call a recall and see what's up. And it was a fatal fighter jet crash that went quietly. Quietly, they covered it up. And the component of the pilot's ejection seat may have been counterfeit. And the Times learned that First Lieutenant David Schmitz, the Fighting Falcon pilot at South Carolina Shaw Air Force Base, died June 30th when his ejection seat malfunctioned as he tried to escape from a failed nighttime landing. So they are looking into it, and they said it's probably a seat defect in these F-16s, and that they're going to have to look into it and see what exactly was the cause. So let's see. Taiwan's Air Force is seeking a record $1 billion for equipment maintenance, and they're hoping that the United States is going to be willing to cover this. They're seeking 36.8 billion, US 1.16 billion for equipment maintenance and installation next year, according to the proposed budget. The figure represents an increase of 26% from the 29.2 billion approved for this year already. And they say that when Tai Ing-wen first elected president of the island, she did want to put that money towards it. But now they are asking basically the United States for the funding. So oh boy. Australian Navy says it's undaunted by China's shadowing warships in the South China Sea. And it's starting to become a concern or even a national security risk. And he says the Australian crews were safe. And basically, they thought it was odd. Chinese tactics didn't escalate in the recent years, but they waited till now. And they say it's unusual behavior in shadowing Australian warships. And they haven't done this before, but now they have warships basically following everything from Australia in the South China Seas. But then it's come out that through Mark Hammond, the Chinese tactics had not escalated in the years, which left him reasonably uncomfortable. But he's starting to see it with every one of the United States naval or um, marine vessels, that they're going really quick on top of them and kind of like trying to do a maneuver with them, kind of like what we've seen going on between NATO and Russia. So, wow. Jill Biden, this one kind of got me because I thought maybe she wasn't like this. But she basically said all books need to be in the library. And when questioned that maybe, an adult library, yes, but what about some K through fifth, sixth graders that are getting some of these porn books? And her response was the same, that all books need to be in the library. And this threw a lot of reporters back because they're even the study came out today that 3-year-olds should be taught in preschool and have sexual books to look at. And she's agreeing with this. Joe Biden is. And I thought Joe Biden was the one that was going to be the bad one of the apples, but it looks like she's falling straight in line with them. And they said they asked her numerous occasions, and she almost seemed miffed with the same question being asked by multiple news media. So the news media wasn't going for this, but she was okay. And she said, you know, uh, uh, this is America. We don't ban books, she said. And so it's almost, to me, I didn't get to see the clip, but it sounded like they edited it really badly, so it didn't look so bad on her. But we need to know about this stuff, especially if she's all for the tranny libraries. And it shouldn't be that way. You should not be able to go into K through sixth grade or fifth grade and see that you can get pornographic library books out of there. We don't want our kids looking at that. Uh, there was and then I this I do like, and this is I'm going to say almost Good Samaritans, but I think they just knew this was wrong. Sixth graders protect their fellow students from a creepy teacher. And according to the report, sixth graders, no less, in Rhode Island had enough of their teacher not only being cruel to the boys, but also the way he treated the girls. He leered at them, gave them pet names, asked them how to dance. He eventually would ask the girl to take off her shoes and show him her toes. The unnamed teacher, because they're not at privy to give it, since it's I guess it's being investigated, or they're just keeping it quiet. He was also the coach, and he told the kids he had dealt with parents' complaints before and was not worried. The boys went to the adults, who essentially blew them off, and the flirting and the innuendos made the girls uncomfortable. And some would laugh, and others would just stayed in their seats and endured it. In January of last year, the group of boys decided enough was enough, and they took to the Discord and created a channel named after the teacher, and also referred to it as pedo database. Wow. There was a documented teacher's activities. And So they exposed him. And this was the whole class protecting not only the girls, but he was doing some weird things with the boys also. So, wow. So the students also um, said there was more evidence that could be collected. The hard work paid off, and in April this year, the teacher was escorted off the premises. And the parents now want restraining orders, and they don't want him back at the schools. Now, um, they basically had said that the school's looking into it. They haven't fired him at this point, but they're going to look into the matter, and they also going to look at all the video that was obtained by the students. And they said, and um, the principals and the school board and school state school board people are very shocked at what they were seeing, and said that they basically probably going to send him down the road. So, all right, wow. Um, finally, they have been letting a lot of these the fentanyl traffickers go with either a misdemeanor time served, and they boom. Well, this guy here, Minnesota man, got a life sentence, and he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life for killing uh, 11 people with fentanyl deaths. And he, of course, Tuesday, he was sentenced at distributing drugs that led to the deaths of 11 people, according to the U.S. State Attorney's Office. 11 lives lost, friends, family, and communities forever changed by the devastating drug that he brought in, this deadly fentanyl. Although the trauma felt by the victims can never be undone, it's a true cost and can never be calculated. You just can't get over a death of a family member. So he did get sentenced to life in prison. Now there is a thing, and Lee brought this to my attention. I didn't really know about it. There's, I guess, I think it's called a purge that's fixing to happen. And what it does, let's see if I can find this. I don't know if I grabbed it or not. Um, I don't think I did. I don't think I grabbed it. But there's a thing called the purge. And what it is, I think it's 24 hours that they're going to put it into effect, that if you get life in prison or a real big time, and you're close to your time limit. I'm not sure what they're doing for years or months or whatever, but they're going to drop it. And let's say they get out and they go commit another crime just like it, the police officers have to wait 24 to 72 hours before they can go get these guys. It's something like a purge. Um, I barely got into it because I found it about 30 minutes before I did the show this morning. So I would really like to read a lot more on what it's about before I really try to guess on what it's about. I don't want to guess. I want to know what this is, because if they're going to let people out of prison that with life sentences for this, and they go and kill somebody, or what about a serial killer? He could, within 72 hours, 2, 3 days, he could do a lot of harm. But it's something that's new that's out. Anybody in the chat room know about this? I know Lee, but I don't know if he's watching today. So this is very worrisome, and this is something that I believe the Democrats, with their Democrat DAs and probably even Soros funding this for it to be put through. And that's just too scary. Um, um, there is so many that is going after George Soros right now. Speaking of George Soros, of what he's doing, And he says it openly. So this is the true fact that he pays DAs to go with laws that he would like to see. And so um, you got to ask who runs a world like that? Who runs a world with lawlessness? With violent crime and what we're seeing. Someone walking down the street and some gang member just goes and grabs them up and punches them, knocks them out, and then they rob them, or sometimes they even beat them up and leave them there, leave them for dead. And this is, and then they get into the courts, and the courts just drop it. Um, People are starting to get very fearful. And then, even yesterday, we even heard of, I believe it's up in New York, or I think it's in Chicago, that they're hiring their own security for their street to stop this. Um, and the drive-by shootings and everything that happens. And, the gangs, um, it's just a opportunity for them. I don't think they even think on this about shooting people or drive-by shootings. I just think there are people daring the gangs to do it at this point. There's other rival gangs that's driving through their neighborhoods, um, or even people driving through innocently, not knowing. See, that happened in Disneyland. When right before we moved out here, they were talking about closing Disneyland and putting all the hotels inside a gated place because there was so many that was going outside of they go to Disneyland and they wanted to go see the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and they wanted to go, and they were driving around town. Well, they would get lost, and then boom, they were in gang territory, and they would kill everybody in the car. It didn't matter the age. They would just kill everybody in the car, thinking it's a rival gang, sending grandma over to drive through their neighborhood and mock them. They took it as a mocking, and eventually they did start having people do set tours and say don't go wandering off on your own. um, it's bad. LA is bad, folks. um, you know uh, they're saying don't go to Disneyland, go to Disney World, because of how bad it is out there now. Just some might get lucky and some might go on down to um, LA, and they're going to go and they're going to drive around and be just fine. Others, not me. I'm from California and I wouldn't go down there. In fact, I won't even go there now if I had to go back and visit. Not even to San Francisco anymore. San Francisco is disgusting. I was so embarrassed with my kids. If you're a new viewer, I had my kids out there. 5, 6, 7 years ago, and there was grown men that were just pulling their pants down and pooping in the gutters, and peeing in the gutters and puking in the gutters, and then there was people that were laying out with needles in their arm. And at the time, my grandson was, uh, I'm going to say about 7, 8 years old, and he didn't understand. He's like, why are they doing that? And I told them they were sick. They were very sick. So, all right, we're going to move on here. Um, um, John Lennon's killer. John Lennon's killer. And we all knew about him. It's so big. One of the first Beatles assassinated. And he went up for parole for the 12th time. And you're wondering, huh? Did they let him go or did they keep him? No, they kept him. Um, um, Chapman was interviewed by the parole board in late August, but the 67-year-old's request was denied on Monday, according to Fox News. He's currently serving a 20 years to life sentence, and he's at Green Haven Correctional Facility outside New York City. And if you don't remember, John Lennon, he was killed the night of December 8th, 1980, when he was waited at the scene reading, and of course, Chapman was reading The Catcher in the Rye. And he's got schizophrenia, and he looks about the same, just a little older. So they let him out. Well, wait a minute, Karen. Now let me. That's dated today, Miss Karen. It said he was denied parole for the 12th time on Monday. You sure it wasn't? No, you're thinking a Reagan shooter, maybe. He was let out about a month ago. Could that be it? Could it have been Reagan shooter? Okay, yeah. I was going to say, but I was, they shouldn't have let him out either. But, thank goodness they're keeping this guy because he was definitely, they seen how schizophrenic he was and he was off his medicines. And then when they put him back on his medicines, boy, I remember this. I lived out in California then, 80. Ooh, I was a youngster. Oh, boy, yeah, I got old. Um, but when they put him in and they gave him medicine that they said would probably, make him better or maybe normalize him a little bit, it didn't help one bit. And so they went ahead and they put him in, and then he was sentenced to the 20 to life. Now, I don't think they're ever going to let him out. He's not all there. He's like all over the place. So, wow. So anyway, and let's see. Lastly, the it really got me because we are looking at Abbott, and everybody supports Abbott for shipping these illegals all over to different states. Well, yeah, but um, it's costing. It's I believe I heard 8 million or more. It started low at 8 million that the taxpayers are paying to ship these people out of Texas. It could be. Um, I wish I would have wrote the number down. I'm just going on memory this morning, but it was like in the millions of what they're going to be charging the people of Texas for to ship these guys out. Now, is it worth it? I mean, think on it. If you're going to pay a little bit more in taxes because of the spending that keeps happening, and then of course the states are going to do it too, to deal with the illegal population. Um, we we are looking at having now to pay for this. I don't know if I'm real up to, because we got Sanctuary City here for a while. So we had a bunch brought in. And then when I heard about the illegals being taken place to place, I called down to Catholic Charities. And at first they didn't want to admit to me that they had brought the illegals in, but then she finally did. And when I started asking more questions, she hung up on me. And I tried to call back, and Catholic Charities just won't. They won't answer any questions on how many illegals they have, or where are they located, where are they housing them, and how much this is going to cost. They won't give you that info. So, and the thing is do you want to pay for this? But we can't have it overwhelming the states either. So I'm thinking that they need to share the cost. If they have to ship them to New York should have to cover that cost. I don't care if they don't agree. It's overall savings. You think so, William? Is it an overall savings, or is it just putting a burden on somebody else? And then we have to cover the costs to get them there. Well, I wouldn't agree with airfare for one. The bus I might go for, but not those nice tour buses. Now just put them on a regular old bus and do them that way. So, so anyway, but that is it for today, folks. Me and William will have a show tonight, and there is a lot of military news. I'm going to have to grab it all up and go over it with William, see what he wants to how he wants to go about this tonight, because a lot's going on over in Ukraine, uh, with a lot of reports that's coming out, not just, uh, see, the thing is when the media gets a hold of it, it's all in Russian. And so, they could be getting the cookie recipes like I get, but they're being not quite honest with what's happening and the actual territory that's being taken. Um, and come to find out, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with what the Ukraine military has been doing. So, um, with that, if go on back and watch the morning show. There was quite a bit in there. The funny lists were pretty good this morning. We had a giggle on a few of them. And so if we are going to be on Investigator News Network until I don't know when. They, like I said, they have not given me a time, whether it's a week or a few days a week, a month. But I am on a second strike, and if they happen to keep going through my videos and they find something they just don't like, they'll do a third strike and they'll pull that whole channel. We won't have the channel. And then we'll be Investigator News Network for a while. So, all right, folks. Um, with that, we will be back tonight. Please come on back. And we always have a really good military show. Uh, and William's a great host, folks. Some of the stuff I just have no clue over. He just jumps right in there, and he's got the info for it. And of course, we go over, what we're doing for the show beforehand. And I appreciate William. I appreciate him very much, very, very, very much. And I'm glad he's on board. So subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button, and tell someone about our show and share it with them. And we will, of course, over on Facebook, follow and share. And we will see everyone tonight. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Watch something with camels. Watch something happy, happy today. There's not much going on. Turn off that news. It'll be there tomorrow. The news will be there tomorrow, and watch a great movie. Something that's going to make you giggle like City Slickers. All right, folks, you have a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see you this evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye, folks.